It's Krozzy. This is going to be my first attempt at using my live stream to import over to YouTube. So I think that's where I'm going to be going with this channel more lately. I'll come out with another announcement video soon of what direction we're heading in with the Red Moon Saloon. But yeah, I'll save that for then. But in this video I just wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons. I'm leveling a Commando right now, or if you're on Sith side, that would be a Mercenary. And I want to talk about the pros and cons of the two tech trees here. If you go to my live stream, you can see some of the. I put up like 2 videos of me playing, just testing around with this live stream, trying to find the right settings and stuff, learning how to use the live stream. But there's 2 videos of me playing the Gunnery Spec, which is the middle tree, and that is the grav round spec. Or for mercenaries, that would be the the tracer missile spec. And I just recently changed over to the shared tree, and I just want to talk about some of the pros and cons that I've seen in these 2 different specs, and maybe give some help out to people that are leveling mercenaries or commandos, or even level 50s that are thinking about changing specs or whatever. But anyways, okay, so pros and cons. Start off with the biggest pro of the gunnery middle tree here. That would be grav round, or tracer missile for mercenaries. This is the bread and butter of the spec right here. Now the pros to this is that it's considered tech damage, so it can't be deflected by tanking classes, and it can't be shielded by tanking classes. Now, when I'm talking about shielding, I'm talking about a shield generator, like tanking classes when they have their shield generator on. If it's tanking spec, they have like I do believe a 20%. They can mitigate it with talents to increase it up to like 25 or something. I'm not sure. And if they're stacking shield rating, then they can get even higher chance to shield. And what that does is it reduces some of the damage when they get a shield. Now, because this is tech, it can't be shielded either. Now, don't get that confused with the bubbles that Jedi counselors and the Sith sorcerers, or not sorcerers, but the Sith inquisitors, they get a bubble that they put on themselves that shields, but when you hit them, it'll say absorb, I do believe. That's different. That mitigates all damage. That's completely different from the tanking shield. But because grav round is tech, it can't be deflected and it cannot be shielded. So that's the main pro to this tree. And the other great thing about this tree is you can see that it reduces the armor rating. It stacks up to 5 times, and then you go up 1 higher, and then you get applies an additional gravity vortex, which is the armor rating decrease. And then you get charged barrel, which stacks up to 5 times, which increases the damage of your next high impact bolt, which I can't remember what that is for the mercenaries. That's like the heavy hitting thing. You can only use it if there's a dot on the target, or if you get these grav rounds through gravity surge. And then the last talent right here, demolition round, increases the damage that increases per gravity vortex. So basically what you're doing in this spec is you're spamming grav round, which does a crap ton of damage by itself. You're stacking up to 5 times, 4 times, whatever, and you're doing a high impact bolt and a demolition round. Or the other way I see people do it is they just do 1 grav round, they get a high impact bolt, and then they try to get 4 more in, and by that time their high impact bolt's usually off cooldown, and they can get another high impact bolt and a demolition round, or a demolition round, then another high impact bolt in. And what that does is it depletes your ammo all the way down. If you have a recharge cell up, you can get it back into the high, back into a state where your ammo replenishes faster. Or for mercenaries, that's heat, and it's just the same exact mechanic, but it's just backwards. But if you don't have that down, then you're going to be starved after that. You're going to be ammo starved, or you're going to be overheating. So this spec right here is definitely all about burst damage. I mean, you can drop people quickly, and that's why a lot of people hate it. Another big pro that's overlooked by a lot of people is concussive force. I can't remember what it's called for mercenaries, but that basically it increases the knockback on concussion charge, or I think it's called jet boost for mercenaries. That's nice. I mean, you knock them back further, but the real golden butter biscuit to this is that it makes your stock strike give 100% when you put 2 talents into it to knock people back too. So when you're playing hut ball and you're up on top of a catwalk, not only can you knock them off with that, but then you can knock somebody off with your stock strike or a rocket punch for mercenaries. And there's a lot of times I was up there just like concussion charge 2 people up, another person comes up, and then you knock them off with that, and that's only got a 30-second cooldown. Or a stock strike has 9-second cooldown, so you can dominate the catwalks and hut ball with this spec. You can keep people off of you. It's really nice. The other cool thing that I found when I was going on, I don't know if I got it or not. I don't think I got to that point or not yet, but every time you recharge your cells, or deplenish your heat for a mercenary, you also regain life, which you use that a lot, so that's really nice. So that's the pros to this tree, and I'm sure everybody knows about it because it seems to be like the flavor of the month, or FOTM if you ever see people say that acronym. It's a flavor of the month class. A lot of people do it. Now I'm going to talk about the pros of this tree over here, the assault specialist, the shared tree. The pros to this tree is that you're going to be in your plasma cell stance, I guess you want to call it. And what that does is it has a chance to put a dot, a particularly nasty dot, on people with any of your ranged abilities. And the way that plays into it is instead of using grav round, you're going to be using charged bolts and full auto a lot, which are both ranged abilities, so they proc plasma cells. And then if you look at hail of bolts, which I do believe that is a ranged ability. I'm going to double check real quick. Hail of bolts, yeah, it's a ranged ability. So when you're doing your let me talent tree back up here. When you're doing like in Void Star or something, or whenever you see like 3 or more people huddled together and you do a hail of bolts, not only do you do sick AoE damage, but you're probably going to put some of these plasma cell dots on them as well, and you can get a lot of AoE damage out of the spec. And the other, I don't know what the bread and butter of the spec is. The bread and butter is going to be high impact bolt, but I'm going to get into that in a second. You get incendiary round, which it does decent damage. It does a little bit of damage when it hits, and it puts an 18-second dot, and that's what's really awesome about this spec, is that incendiary round puts an 18-second dot. Now you might be thinking to yourself, like, that's not bursty, what if that guy dies before 18 seconds? That's not where this really comes in handy. Where this really comes in handy is when you're defending nodes and Alderaan, or you're defending a door in Void Star or whatever. There's a lot of times where I'll put this dot on as many people as I can, and for 18 seconds they got this dot on. Unless somebody's curing them of negative effects, like a healer, which I have seen some healers actually do that, can remove this, but not often. Like if I'm the last person defending a door in Void Star and there's like 4 Sith about to kill me, I'll hit all 4 of them with this, and I know, and then for the next 18 seconds is a chance for somebody to respawn and get back to the door and defend, because they're not going to be able to plant the bomb, and Alderaan, they're not going to be able to take the node, because every time this dot ticks, it interrupts them. It's really nice. And then this is probably the bread and butter. Ionic Accelerator. What this does is it gives your full auto a 60% chance to refresh the cooldown on your high impact bolt and make it a free cast. And then charge bolts has a 30% chance. Until you get this talent, you're not going to do a lot of one-on-one damage at all. You're going to be horrible one-on-one. Once you get this spec, on one-on-one, I'll usually open up with an incendiary round, do a high impact bolt, and then full auto. And even if I don't get the whole full auto off, it usually refreshes high impact bolt. If it doesn't, I'll do charge bolt. And the key to this spec is you're not bursty very much by any means. You're going to be doing things in the long run. You're going to win one-on-ones in the long run by kiting. And you don't want your ammo to get depleted more than half. So I would open up on this high impact bolt and then run away as you're doing a hammer shot, then a full auto, run away as you're doing a hammer shot, high impact bolt if you proc the talent. If you didn't, charged bolt, kite again, hammer shot, try to do another high impact bolt. If they're in your face, stock strike. You can get a lot more mobility out of this, and it doesn't hurt you that much because there's a good chance that you're going to be putting these plasma cell dots on them, which does a lot of damage. So I like this spec more because of the pros. I'm a lot more versatile with this spec. I'm not standing still and spamming grav round, and I can do a lot more damage running around in this spec. The other nice thing about this is the last ability is Assault Plastique, which is the same thing as Sticky Grenade. Shares a cooldown with it. It just does a lot more damage, 400 more damage it looks like, which is going to be great for AoE stuff. And yeah. Let's see, the other things that we got here is increases the tech critical chance by 1%, which a lot of your abilities you use in the spec aren't tech, like Incendiary Rounds tech, that's about it really. Everything else is ranged. But it increases the damage dealt by periodical elemental effects, which is your plasma round and your incendiary round are going to be doing more damage with the spec on targets below 30% max health, which is really great for trying to kill healers and stuff. I'm not going to get too much into the other specs here. I took the 3 out of Gunnery for the increased aim because it's your main talent or your main stat, so of course you want that. And then for field training over here, increases range and tech critical strike chance, which critical strike is going to be very important. I think it's important for both specs, but it's especially important over here because if you look at Assault Trooper, increases the critical damage bonus of Plasma Cell, High Impact Bolt, Incendiary Round, and Assault Plastique by 30% when you put 2 talent points in there. So you're going to have a high crit. When you crit, it's going to be a high damage, so you're going to be wanting to stack critical rating. And the other great thing about the level 50 set is there's a level 50 set that increases your critical strike chance of a high impact bolt by 15% for having the 4-piece bonus on. Now granted, a lot of those pieces, I'm over here in Balmore right now, I don't want to go back to Republic Fleet, but a lot of those pieces have the wrong enhancement in it. They have power enhancements in them, but you can swap those out for the Battle Enhancement 22 purple player made crafted ones. You lose a lot of life, but your crit goes way up. And as a mercenary or as a commando, high endurance, high life is good, but it's not that great because the whole point of the spec is to try not to be in combat and to be kiting people and stuff. So that's the perks. I can't think of the word I just said. That's the pros to this spec, and I find that I'm liking this spec a lot better. Now let's get into the cons. I'll start back over here. The cons of this spec is good players know what to do with this spec because you have to stand still and spam grav round, and it was really annoying me against like straight pugs. I can tell if it's a straight pug full of bad players or something. I can get away with hiding behind stuff and popping out and bursting people down. I can get away with that fine. But when there's good players on the opposite team, they automatically know what you're doing. As soon as they see you spamming grab round, it shoots a big beam across the room, and they see your cast bar filling up. A lot of players can lock you down just like they lock down a healer. So, I mean, they'll jump on top of me, they'll interrupt me, and they'll kill me quickly because they know that I'm dangerous standing still. I don't know if anybody watches Togrim. He's another great guy that does PvP stuff for Star Wars: The Old Republic. But if you ever watch his live stream videos, I mean, you can tell automatically he's like, there's a mercenary over there, kill him quickly, because if you leave him alone, he's just gonna tracer missile spam and do a crap ton of damage to someone. That is the con of the spec. You have to stand still. You're like a turret. And when people catch on to you, they're going to kill you, especially if you get in a BG where there's a pre-made on the other side. There's some people grouping up together that know how to PvP. They're going to keep you dead whenever they see you doing this. And it's really annoying. And it's hard. It can get very frustrating very quickly. So that's the main reason why I tried out this spec over here, is because a lot of people would just shut me down. And yeah, it's not any fun when people shut you down like that, and it's hard to you know, you gotta try to be just far away from people where you can like sneak around the corner and burst someone down, and then try to get away real quick and hide, get your ammo back up, come back around the corner, burst someone down, and try. You got to try to be sneaky in this spec, and I don't know, it wasn't very appealing to me. It's great when you're going against people that don't know, no idea what they're doing, like a pug group of a bunch of people that aren't good at PvP, that are not very knowledgeable, and you can go around and just own people with entire BG and do like 400k damage with the spec. But like I said, when you get people that know what they're doing, the spec is easily locked down. The cons to Assault Specialist is shared tree. The cons are, most of your abilities are ranged, so you suck against tanks. If there's a tanking class, like this spec, and I would say Marauders and Sentinels are the only ones that really suck against tank spec players, because Marauders and Sentinels, almost all their abilities are melee, so it's all can be deflected, blocked, shielded. Just like this side, I mean, you're going to be using full auto a lot, you're going to be using high impact bolt a lot, you're going to use charged bolt a lot, and those things can be deflected and they can be shielded. So I'll see myself a lot of times trying to take down a tank, and he's sitting there deflecting, shielding, and then he notices me and he'll pop his cooldowns that increase his defenses, and I can't even touch him. Everything's deflected, except for, of course, the incendiary round and a stock strike, and those things aren't mitigatable. So that kind of sucks. If you get into a point where you're trying to kill a tank and you notice he's about to get low, try to Cyro grenade him and finish him off, because he can't deflect when he's Cyro grenaded, or he can't shield either, I do believe. Apart from that, I mean, this spec sucks against tanking classes. But, you know, that's the con to it. So I hope that this helped anybody trying to figure out these two different specs. Just look, I don't think I touched on this talent over here. I took Quick Thinking, which reduces the activation time on Medical Probe by 0.5 seconds and reduces the cooldown of Advanced Medical Probe. I use these a lot, especially like on a 2-on-2 situation where somebody's about to go down. I'll heal them to try to keep them alive to kill one player, so then then it becomes 2 versus 1. You know, these come in really handy, even though I'm not a healing spec. The great thing about Star Wars is that if you're not healing spec, you can still put out some decent healing when you need to. So I'm gonna get into some PvP-itch here, and then try to export this over to YouTube. See how the Republic's doing today. Hopefully I get some decent people. I like Get Down better. Get Down? Actually, no, I'm going to make these into 2 videos, so I'm going to stop this video and then I'm going to start another one for this PvP.